Okay guys, so Microsoft recently has come out with a new setting in conditional access for token protection, and it's currently in public preview. Now when I first saw this, I got super excited because we've obviously seen a massive spike in adversary in the middle attacks. And if you're an MSP out there, it's likely that one of your customers has been hit with this type of incident in the past year. I've actually surveyed about 50 MSPs and 49% of them said that one of their customers was affected by this type of attack within the past 12 months. So it's definitely something where we're looking for preventative, proactive prevention versus the post-breach mitigation that a lot of us are basically doing today and leveraging third-party tools for as well. In this video though, we're going to unpack this setting as well as this conditional access policy template that you can begin to use, some of the limitations today in public preview, some of where I think it's going to head, as well as the end user impact. So as we unpack this setting, the fundamental principle here of the protection is leveraging what's known as token binding or device bound tokens, which effectively at a very high level says that when a user goes to sign in, they have a token that's bound to their managed device. And if an attacker is able to harvest that token and tries to replay it on another unmanaged device, that actually prevent that from happening and the attacker would not be able to sign in. Now, if you want to get into more of the depth of primary refresh tokens and token binding, I suggest John Savelle's video where he unpacks this in effectively a masterclass, and I'll link that in the video description. When we talk about this policy though that we can use in conditional access in this setting, there's a lot of expectations I have versus the reality of what it is in public preview that we're going to walk through. And there's obviously this fundamental licensing constraint for many of us there in SMB, where this is only available today in P2. Hoping that changes in the future, especially as I unpack more of it, but we certainly have a lot of discrepancies between P1 protections and P2 protections. When we talk about expectations of reality, fundamentally, I'd like to see this supported on all devices. Windows is what's supported today, but we also have considerations for iOS, Android devices more specifically, and then obviously some Mac users that span across our organization like to see this in as well. Obviously, all applications would love to be supported there, especially admin centers and logins that we have, which have a lot more sensitive information. Today, this workflow only supports SharePoint, Teams, and Outlook for users in Intune enrollment effectively as well too. But this is very limited in the applications there. But obviously the primary use case of email and documents that are sensitive for the users who may be compromised through token theft. And then the big one for me today is that this is only supported for client applications and not browser-based experiences. You have to limit it there in the conditional access policy, which we'll walk through. But this is really where this breaks down a lot, where you still have a lot of exposure when you talk about a token replay event through adversary in the middle attack specifically that we're seeing in proliferation today across environments. So I certainly hope that they support that over time, but we're actually going to see the end user experience today through trying to sign in with a browser-based experience with actual token theft incident, as well as a user signing into a client application on an unbound or unmanaged device. Okay guys, so we're going to dive into the actual policy creation here. So if you go into the Entra Admin Center and go under conditional access here, we're going to click into policies and we're going to create a new policy. I'm just going to call this required device bound token. You can call it whatever you like, obviously, depending on how you're doing this. If you're using this as far as testing goes, I'd recommend testing this across a couple users here before selecting all users, but I'm going to go ahead and select a single user to do here for this example and just get them loaded in here. And then obviously you'd want to exclude any break glass users here that you would want to have for emergency access just to not get locked out of your account. One of the things with this policy is that the devices that users are logging in on obviously need to be managed, so they need to be at least Entra joined or registered, and that could also support a hybrid join as well. Within the target resources here, you're going to not include all, which is what I'd love to see obviously in the future. But in the select resources, you're going to search for Office 365 and you're going to select Exchange Online and SharePoint Online for this guy. Within the conditions section here, you're going to select device platforms, configure yes, and include select device platforms, which is going to be Windows today, which will support the functionality that they have as far as that limitation goes. And then under the client app section here, you're going to configure this, and we are just going to select mobile apps and desktop clients. This is where I was mentioning, love to see browser support here in the future, and we'll see that through a real life token theft incident that I'll showcase as well. You're not actually going to select anything under the grant controls, but under the session controls, you're going to select this require token protection for sign-in sessions. If you see this grayed out, it's likely because you have the target resources not selected correctly, as an example with that, or you don't have a P2 license. After that's selected here, you can keep this into report only to see what this is like, or you could turn it on like I'm doing here if you're just having it for select users. After enforcing this for a user that's trying to sign into one of those supported applications such as Teams, Microsoft 365 apps, or in this case Outlook, you're going to go through an experience of signing in here, and if the device is managed and the token is bound, the user is not actually going to experience anything different. And if it's already signed in, they're already signed into their profiles, the most that they might have to do is actually re-authenticate and have a new session created from that, but there's not anything crazy that you would see with existing users that are already using managed devices. In the sign-in logs in Microsoft, if I take a look at a sign-in that's related to this type of event, we have considerations here for the new field that they've added since they've introduced this, which includes the token protection, which in this case it's bound. And if I was to look at the device info, we would see that it's compliant and managed, and it's Azure AD registered in this particular case. But under conditional access, we'll also see our device-bound token protection where it matched our values and our session control was enforced. So while the user doesn't see anything unique in this use case, it is applying that policy. Now, if we shift to a user trying to sign in on an unmanaged device that doesn't have any bound tokens or anything like that, you'll see them signing into one of those applications that is in scope with our conditional access policy here. It's still going to allow them to try to sign in, and in this case, fulfill an MFA request, which I'll go ahead and do here. The difference here is that it's asking the user to register or enroll their device, and they can't get access into this application. So this is the user experience if they're trying to sign in unmanaged devices and so forth, where they don't have a bound token. And this is something that, they can go through, and if they click learn more, it'll take them to an ambiguous support article from Microsoft, and more details will give them this information just about their sign-in, which in this case, they'd likely either reach out to you as the IT department, or they would just not sign in and continue on with their day. In the sign-in logs for this one, we can click on this failure. We can see that this device bound token conditional access policy failed, and we can see in this case that it did not meet the token protection configurations that we've set in there. And for the basic info, we see that this session is unbound. And then you'd be able to also identify other anomalies here, like normally signing in from Colorado. Got a Washington location there. And under device info, we see that this is not managed or compliant. So this is where, you would see those types of events and actually see this in use. And the same thing would be true if a token was harvested and tried to be used to sign into those client applications on a different device. Where this breaks down though is in common adversary in the middle attack. In this case, I've stood up a evil jinx server and I've harvested a token from an individual there using a man in the middle link and a fake looking Microsoft site. And so if I actually copy this token in this use case with an existing user that I have for that token protection conditional access policy, I can actually just use a plugin here to go ahead and import that session cookie, click OK. And then if I simply just refresh this page here, I'm into the user's mailbox. Back in the sign-in logs for this one, you can see here that this session is unbound. The device here is unmanaged, and the conditional access policy was not applied for the sign-in because the client app did not match the client application versus the browser in this case. And then actually apply and then prevent this type of token replay event. So if you're kind of deflated after watching that, given it's only solving a particular use case, this section here is something I'm going to be unpacking in other videos here, but effectively wanted to highlight other conditional access protections you could begin to put into place to help with both the prevention of token theft as well as the token replay events. Now I'm going to be unpacking these in videos because they all have a certain level of asterisks that you need to apply here where they can be overcome in certain ways, but this is going to be some of the highest protections you can put into place. And if you'll notice on the licensing side, most of them only require P1 license or something you would get with Business Premium as an example. So I'm not going to show you this and show you how it actually can prevent token theft and token replay events and some of the ones you might want to consider in your customer environments today to really mitigate these types of incidents. Okay guys, that's everything I had for you today. Definitely comment below with any questions you had. And if you want to see more content like this, including the video we're going to do in the future here on prevention policies that you can put into place that encompass a P1 license, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week.